Hello, welcome to another question in this series from the DM, where you guys send us questions in our direct messages and I choose a few to answer. So today's question is, I sent you a message, I sent you an email and you told me that I don't qualify for a bachelor's degree. What are the minimum requirements? Okay, very good question. I know who sent this and their case is very specific, so I hope I don't mention their name. Number one, which you don't have, and I already sent you a response, is you don't have the minimum requirement of at least 13 years of education. You only studied, you had 7 years of primary school and 3 years of secondary school. That's not sufficient enough to do a bachelor's degree in any European university. They need you to have at least a high school leavers certificate. And what is required is either 12 or 13 years of experience. When you apply without the right amount of years of education, either 12 or 13 years, you're going to be given a gap year to study. So you will be given either a year or two before you join your bachelor's degree to actually do something called terza media, which is like the high school or the liceo in Italian. Or it is a gap year, which is like a year, 2 or 3, depending on how many years that you're missing. So I'd rather that you do that in Africa before you actually apply, so that when you come here, you just go straight to your preferred bachelor's program. Now, moving on to the minimum requirements, that number of years of education. Number 2, you need a Europass CV. 3, you need a motivation letter. We have got a long list. If you would like that, you can consult us and I'll give you the whole list. The other thing that I almost forgot is, of course, you need a valid passport. Check your passport. Do not just say, I have a passport, which is almost expiring, because by the time you apply for your study visa, they need you to have validity for at least 1 year. The study visa that you're given is usually 1 year, and your passport should have validity of more than 1 year, because if you have 6 months, why should they give you a visa of 1 year? Study visas are 1 year, okay? At least to most European countries. The other minimum requirement that I remember off my head is recent passport sized photographs. You need to do entry exams if you're at bachelor's level, and then some of them need a language proficiency letter. Don't ask me why they ask you to do an English exam, yet you're from an Anglophone country or a country where English is the formal language. These are just requirements that I'm just communicating, okay? And also, I have noticed that there is a trend. Things have changed a little bit, because back then they used to accept Duolingo, TOEFL entry exams by universities, English exams, and IELTS. But then I just finished in the DAD scholarship application that I uploaded on my YouTube channel. Go and check it out. I'll leave the name on the screen. Every other exam was rejected apart from the IELTS. I don't know why, but for the previous years, TOEFL has been accepted as language proficiency, test or proof of fluency in English. So things keep changing. Don't say that the list that I've given you will be the same list for 2026, but you can save it, because most of them are still the same. However, that has changed. One thing I know is that Italian universities, some of them even give you the English test, which is very easy. So if it is offered, do that. Otherwise, do IELTS, because it's international. I just want to comment on having a language proficiency test. It gives you a higher advantage, a higher competitive advantage compared to other candidates. People don't like to do IELTS, and they're always like, oh, I didn't get an admission letter. Well, because everybody else applied to the same university, but then somebody had an English test, and then of course the application was considered before you, because everybody might have a first class from their country, everybody might have a good recommendation letter, everybody might have a good motivation letter, and what sets you apart are these things like your grade in IELTS or the entry exam, or your grades in the English proficiency test, whatever they require. However, some universities just require you to go back to your previous school and get a letter that shows that everything was taught in English. So choose wisely and make sure that you look at the requirements of every university, because they differ. Most of them differ.